They knew that single event. Okay, they let it run to see what was the outcome. It was basically an experiment. How much panic could you push by throwing it in the news that there's going to be shortages of something? People's mind, when it goes to shortage, would they sign up for a digital rationing card at that point? If it did continue for, let's say, months or something.
It's just weird that they make it seem like that there were already active lithium mining operations going on in North Carolina when there isn't, and there hasn't been since 1988. Welcome back to Raised by Giants live discussion. Good to see everyone. It's been a minute. And we have an amazing show here for you guys here today with David Dubine from Adapt 2030 channel. How's it going, David? It's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. And that was a really interesting intro there, because if you're thinking about the Earth's magnetic field changing, how could governments do that to an entire planet without the drug, knowing that the magnetic field changed, and the impetus or stimulus into that could also cause behavioral changes as well? If you knew the cycle was repeating, and if you knew when it was going to amplify it, if you know the real numbers of Earth's magnetic field declining, which they have taken Swarm off of line, it's at 2016, then you could really start to go to bat here and maybe amplify some sort of emotional output, knowing that differences of solar output onto humanity, like this meat suit decoding the world in front of us, would change its decode algorithm so you would see something different in front of you. Now, right on top of that is a natural cycle. And how could you bend it beyond the experiment in the laboratory to a global field of play?
Well, not only that as well, I've discovered through doing research on this documentary and watching a lot of footage and getting a bunch of B-roll footage, is that the first manufacturer and distributor of LSD in the United States was Eli Lilly and Company. And also Eli Lilly and Company was the first manufacturer and distributor of Prozac, the antidepressant. So they did, from what I've researched, they've just taken out all of the good consciousness expanding things from LSD or psilocybin, and they've dumbed all that down, and then they push out this antidepressant medication onto the public and get everybody on that. And that definitely has something to do with it for sure.
What kind of environment they want us trapped in or kept in. And there's got to be a way so we can find the key to our own door and unlock and walk outside and say, I no longer accept this.
I agree, absolutely. And before we dive too deep into things, I want to play a clip really quickly from, do you remember my 200th episode show that me and you were in? It was with Jay Widener, Wayne Steiger, and Penny Kelly. You remember that 200th?
I absolutely remember that. I still talk to Penny pretty regular, and we're going to be doing a show here later on this month.
Well, here is a clip from that show, and this was over a year ago that we did this show, and this is going to set us up for our conversation here today. Do you think that we have to worry about natural disasters or manufactured natural disasters? Because we know that they have the ability to create storms. They can pretty much control the weather however they want. Dave, do you think that we have to worry about that at any point toward the end of this year?
How do you feed your families when the shelves are empty, the stores are shut, and there's no food available? What is the fastest, easiest, and most productive foods to grow? What is the quickest way to get somebody who has no skills at all up and running and producing very quickly? If you understand that we're at a point in history where it is no longer optional to be growing your own food. If you're like really freaked out and concerned because you've never grown food before and you don't have any skills, you don't know how to do that, but you know how important it is, then I want to let you know, however you stumbled here, you're in the right place. My name is Marjorie Wildcraft. I'm the founder of the Grow Network, and I have been the female leader in the survival and preparedness space for the last 20 years.
How to grow lots of food, even if you have no experience, are older and out of shape. This is for people who want the fastest and easiest ways to produce healthy and delicious meat, eggs, and vegetables. Because you know that growing your own food is like printing your own money. During this webinar, you will get status of global food shortages, how long the crisis will last, how much space you need to grow food, easiest, highest calorie foods you can produce, a complete plan for producing all the food you need, how to get started today, regardless of season. Marjorie will show you the fastest, easiest, and simplest ways to produce calories and nutrition, especially in a crisis and/or grid-down situation. The assumption is that you have no experience and you need to start producing food immediately. The most popular part of the webinar is the Q&A session at the end. So please come prepared with your questions.
Most technologies could be used to amplify events in case the human domain gets out of control. And when I say that, there's cause, react, solution, effect. If the human does not obey and the directive of where it's supposed to be pushed with the stimulus, if humanity wakes up for a better point and starts to go the other direction, like, whoa, uncontrollable thought, that amplification in extremes in whatever it would be, forest fires, volcanic eruption, twisting of weather in the jet streams and cloud cells, in addition to the moisture that's in the atmosphere and where everything's already cavitating and tweaking along 20 south and 20 north anyway. I think there'll be that blend. If humanity can't be controlled, it'll be put through extremes to get people to stop thinking about and fear for their lives. And then, you're going to swing the pendulum this way to survival, and then they'll pull you back in the middle of the narrative. I keep seeing this again and again. When humanity starts to think for itself, something other much larger rolls in on top to deflect or distract, is a better way, I guess.
What do you think of that, Dave? Over a year ago, I was talking about this.
Remember, we're going to wind around, and then on December 6th, we're going to have something called the Galactic Cross, or I would call it more of a Shepherd's Cross. Maybe I misspoke on that, where it's Jupiter, Earth, Mercury, Sun in a perfect line, and then at the same time, Venus, Earth, and Mars in a perfect line, and making a cross on the exact same second and the exact same day on December 6th of this year. And then as we come spinning around in, let's say, March and April 11th will be exactly in front of the sun on the backside. Everything else in the entire solar system will be behind us. And I say with the equidistant squaring of the planets, it's almost like we're the very, very tip of an arrow. So I would anticipate an enormous amount of fireballs to come rolling through and space debris to get tugged right into the face of our planet. Now, if you look over the last couple months, as we were coming into this event, you could see the planet sort of squaring this way. And as we started to get a huge amount of fireballs coming from the side, not even directly into us. That was the tug from those gas giants gravitationally pulling that in. Now, when we swing around on the back, we are the only thing in the front of the solar system for about 4 months. And especially when we get into April, we're directly in front of the sun. Everything else is behind us, making this arrow shape. Now, put that into context. The reason I'm telling you these events are going to go boom, 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 right in a row in like 6 months. If these do start to happen in unison, the amount of panic, or I wouldn't even say panic, it would just be like the realm of the unknown of the average person that doesn't understand solar activity or doesn't know anything about the solar system or is not looking at that. They're going to think it's the return. And imagine how you could capture attention and bend reality of the human on the planet if these natural events are happening. and you got daytime fireballs rolling in by the dozens every day, and people are seeing shock waves and hearing it and feeling it above their heads on a daily for 4 months, people are going to not go to work. They're not going to be paying their taxes. They're not going to be obeying the rule of law. Have to be a lot of government intervention. And at the same time, like, how can you spin that? Because food production is going to be knocked out at the knees. It already is. I mean, you have not seen anything yet with the food price rises. It's coming. Now put it together, shake it up, don't stir it, and then pour it in. And then what do you think governments could do to try to manipulate humanity during this time of known inbound events? That's the whole thing. You need to know the events are inbound. Once you do, you can go, oh, cause, effect, manipulate.
I really thought that the shoreman strike on the East Coast was going to last a little bit longer than a day, but that seems to be all that it lasted for, was a day, and then a deal was made, which
Well,
I thought was really
they
interesting.
saw the panic that it created, man. You had these huge lines all over in Costco again, like they did with the toilet paper shortage. So they knew that single event. Okay, they let it run to see what was the outcome. It was basically an experiment. How much panic could you push by throwing it in the news that there's going to be shortages of something? People's mind, when it goes to shortage, would they sign up for a digital rationing card at that point? If it did continue for, let's say, months or something, would people be willing to trade their sovereignty for a digital rationing card to put food in their bellies? That's the ultimate question, because this is where it's leading to.
I think that they would, because everyone is basically turned on what they said that they wouldn't do before. It's turned into, oh, well, we'll just accept whatever because it's going to provide us safety. And that's a really big issue that I've seen coming for a really long time, is how flip-floppy people are on the things that they say that they're going to do. And then when it comes down to it, they don't end up doing it. It's really wild. Now, I thought that clip was really interesting that I just played, because I was talking about weather modification, and a lot of people have been talking about the hurricane that most recently hit North Carolina, and the Milton that hit Florida recently. You're kind of in that area, around that area. What did you experience? Like, what did you see with these hurricanes?
Well, Helene was the one that hit up this direction, and I couldn't believe it. 20 miles from here, totally ruined. Right where we sit, we got a ton of rain, a lot of wind, but not nearly the damage or the flooding that they got literally 20 miles from here, or 30. I mean, it takes about an hour to drive up, but you're going up a snaky road, I mean, hairpin currents coming back in through the creek beds and things. But the damage was so incredibly devastating. I'm really shocked that there's not more coverage on it. I mean, it is so utterly world damage up in the North Carolina mountains, as well as in East Tennessee. I mean, just to put it in perspective, we had multiple 80-foot trees fall in the forest. They're all hardwoods as well, because the pines survived somehow. A bunch of the smaller pines fell down, but the largest of the pines stayed up. But then all of these really hardwood trees, we had a bunch of oak trees up there. They were good 80-foot tall, 70, 80 foot. They all just fell down in a row like matchsticks. It's going to take us years to clean that up. We're talking about gigantic trunks up there. And it fell down in this one area where it gets really deep, because we have a waterfall that's on the property, and it drops down in sort of like a mini Grand Canyon. If it was like a big gorge in there. But one of them did fall over, but I'd be kind of leery walking over it, because if you slip off, you're falling down 25 feet into like rocks on the bottom where the creek is, but I mean, where it snapped, they all snap down into the, and you got to get down in there, cut that, and somehow get it back up or bring it out to the field by walking down the creek bed a couple 100 feet. Massive wind damage here, but nothing like 30 inches of rain coming down in there. I mean, towns were literally scoured out of the mountains. There's nothing left. You can find maybe a foundation where there was something there, maybe. But the way that the river had changed so much course, there's no more. The roads, they have to really, and I no BS assessment here, they have to rebuild Western North Carolina from the ground up. The road beds are gone. Anything with sewage or water piping, it's gone. It got ripped out ferociously in torrents of water. If you look at anything electrical, I mean, so many poles were down, all the electrical infrastructure was ruined. There's 300 and some transmission stations that are gone or severely damaged to the point where they actually have to repair and replace it. The repair might not even be good enough, where they're going to have to replace all of it inside a substation somewhere. And then if you look at fiber optic cabling, they had dozens and dozens and dozens of mobile phone towers just washed away in flash floods, like just gone off the hills. You're going to have to rebuild that entire part of the state. And we're talking about half of North Carolina. Rebuild it literally from the foundation, from the roadbed up, to even put pavement back on it. That's gone. The entire river system and the entire creek system, everything changed in a second, and the amount of landslides, and it's just devastating. Like when I look at these pictures and all those people on the ham radio network asking for help and thing, and then are, being told that they can't go up and help because they're not registered with this organization, or they haven't done training from that organization, or their products are not from a preferred provider from this organization to be distributed in the hills. That you and me talking to somebody on the ham radio 6,000 feet up, we're at the bottom. We need help. We need formula. We need diapers. We need medicine. We need whatever, food, water. And me and Ryder are here and like, yeah, you know what? We got horses. We can get up there in probably about 3 to 4 hours. We know where the old logging roads are. And as soon as you leave from some of these towns where, personnel were stationed, they would say, no, you can't go any further. This road's blocked off. Okay, we're not going to go on the road, bro. We got horses. No, you can't go any further. Like, you literally can't go 1 inch past this line, and 100 miles this way. You can't go past it up into the mountains. It's gone a huge amount of animosity. So people are and have been taking measures to move those blockades out of the way. There's more of us, and we know the terrain, and you don't know anything, and you're so slow. You're not doing anything except hindering. Get out of the way. Like ham radio has been the preferred communication. Nothing else works. There's no communication. And that would be my main number one thing too. You got to have your food and water as like prep stores and thing, but you got to have a ham radio. That's the only thing that worked during and is still working during this emergency. But I realized a lot of people got their preps washed away, and that can't fault them for that. Your whole entire house just got washed away. In the middle of the river is now where your house was. Like, this is the kind of vast changes. These rivers have moved some 100 to 200, 300 feet in either direction, and into neighborhoods and into communities in the middle. So a 50 or 100 foot wide river that was way over that way, 300 feet or 500 feet, and you're 500 or 1,000 feet away from the river, is now gone through the middle of the neighborhood and scoured it clean. I watched a couple of videos as people got up there on Enduro 250s. They were able to get through, some of the side, because they knew the old logging roads, right? These are kids that grew up there and hunted all over the place and knew every little trail. They took Enduro 250s way up in there. They beat all the first responders up there. So they were doing on the ground reports of, hey, what happened, this, that, and that. So the one woman was saying that all of her neighbors, because they had to get insurance, so you had to build above the 500-year flood line. So not on it, but above it. So almost all these families had built at the 500 to 1,000 flood level and above. And those houses were up to the chimney above or completely washed away off the foundations. More than a multi-thousand-year event of rainfall that came down. And those people really need help. So if you're listening to this message, please volunteer your time, your resources. These people really need help. They've been forgotten so quickly. And it's going to cost trillions of dollars, trillions with a T, to rebuild that part of Western North Carolina. And the insurance companies will be bankrupted because of this event. So they're not going to pay out to rebuild up there. I would imagine they'll just, like we're forecasting here, like we did in the last show, I'm going to make a bold call here. Not all, but several sectors of Western North Carolina will be deemed no human habitation zones. They will be rewilding zones. The non-habitation, the areas humans can no longer go to, and taking that as a rewilding zone because they flooded it out. And that would include East Tennessee also. There's some areas that just aren't coming back. So what was done there, if it was purposeful, hard to say. I don't believe they can steer hurricanes like they say they can. They can nudge them, maybe. They can drop carbon black and different kind of graphene on the top of the hurricane to cause high pressure and heating to steer it a little bit. But can they actually control it? That is a hugely different thing than manipulating it.
That makes a lot more sense than what I've been seeing a lot of people in the community talk about, that they manufactured this hurricane to wipe out southern North Carolina to build smart cities. Like, they don't need to do that. Like, there's a smart city right now that's being built in Arizona without there being any kind of natural disaster. They don't need to destroy an entire sector of a state to build a smart city. They just tell people that they're going to build it. And that's another thing that people don't realize either, is like, it's very easy to get people to move out of their homes. It's very easy. And if they don't do it for money, then they'll force them to move. Once one person sells in a community of houses, they keep going. And if you deny them on the third time, then they're just going to come in and take it. So if they're going to do something like that, you just better just take the money and go someplace else, because they're just going to come in and take your land. They don't need to manufacture an event to wipe out these houses and get the land. They can just take the land. You don't even own the land, Dave. Nobody owns the land. You pay taxes on that land. Guess what? When you don't pay taxes on that land, it's no longer yours. It gets confiscated. Try not paying taxes on it. See what happens.
Unless you have it as an allodial title. That means freehold. You own it only. State has no right on it. They can't even put a lien on it. It's called allodial title, and I encourage everybody to look at it. It's not available in every state, but at least the research I've done, if you were given the land under a deed in the early 1800s or late 1700s on the land that you purchased, you can trace that deed all the way back to, say, 1798 or 1801 or 1803. Property I have on here, the original owners owned like 2,000 acres here, and that was bought or deeded, so they say, in 1802 here. So I've been trying to trace back all the titles that have been bought, sold to see if I can come back to the original deed and claim this piece of it off the original deed. But then come to find out, Tennessee doesn't allow you to do that. There are some states that do, but I'm just saying that as a side note, because you can allodial title your car too, where then you're only paying for the plates. You're not paying, because they charge you property tax in North Carolina on your car. So if you had a allodial title, they have no claim to your car anyway. They couldn't do a single thing to it. And this is something not well known. And if you purchase a brand new automobile, before they even title it, you go, that's got to be an allodial title. But you need to pay cash for it at that point. If you're going to put it on finance, the bank holds it. But once you transfer from the bank into your own, and they give you that, yellow card that comes with and says you own it freehold, you still don't own your car. If there's a bank bail-in, through the way the laws are right now, that will be confiscated as well. Maybe not confiscated immediately, but the value of your automobile will be bundled in those packages of let's say, bailed in finance and sold off as a package as an investment product to another investor. Now, when they buy it, they could possibly come in and go, we own all this land here. We own all the automobiles. You just bring your private army in and confiscate everything and bulldoze the houses because we don't want to turn the tractors around here. We need to bulldoze every house so it's a big square so we don't have to turn the tractors as much when we're farming the fields out here. This is what happens when they bail in. Now, a low deal title allows you to get away from that. But I digress for a moment here. You wiped out part of 2 states and they're going to have to be rebuilt. And I just don't know if they're ever going to, I don't think they're going to be able to go back to their land. I don't. And again, well, maybe here's the whole thing. I was trying to bring this up is I realized you were talking about, paying property tax. What made me realize you don't own a thing ever. Never.
Nope.
Eminent domain. You own nothing. You own nothing. And get used to understanding that. That was my biggest takeaway from this emergency is the illusion is that you do. That's the biggest scam on the entire planet, is giving the illusion that you actually can hold something as ownership.
That's right. That's right. No truer words have ever been spoken. And that's another thing that people have been pointing toward, these mining lithium and these crystal quartz. Well, when you do a little research, there are no active lithium mines in the United States besides in Nevada. That's the only place. There's one. There's one active lithium mining place, and that's in Nevada. They weren't even doing mining in North Carolina. The only thing that the quartz crystal one, that I'm pretty sure that one did get flooded, and another one got flooded. But the lithium mine that people are talking about isn't a lithium mine. It's a lithium processing plant where they bring in the lithium and then they process it from other countries. It's not a mine.
Now, another thing, when that same story I told you where the guys rode the Enduro 250s up there, that was right directly down from that quartz mine. And everything was sand beaches down the river. Because they were saying that all the mining they'd done, once they did the separation and they took that host rock and whatever they did with it and turned it into that sort of smaller grain particle, that's what got washed down the river. And you got sand banks all across the rivers there, which it wasn't like that before. But they said everything got washed down from the mine up there. And the sand deposits, I mean, damn, you're talking 15, 20 miles of sand on both sides of the rivers that replaced the previous riverbanks. And I'm like, how big was that mining operation? Like, how much separation of host rock was there? And then what else got washed down there? I'm looking at that going, man, if anybody's into gold panning or gold mining and understands where those things, how they flow out, because these mountains have that fact for anybody. The earliest gold mining here was in East Tennessee before the 1849 gold rush. It was here in Tennessee. A place called Coker Creek. Takes a minute to get there. It's like really windy roads and you got to go down. But people got gold claims all over the place. And that was the very first gold rush was in East Tennessee, believe it or not. So, going into North Carolina, it's well known that there's a huge amount of gold deposits there. People always are, panning on the streams and thing. So I can't even imagine a once in a 3,000, 5,000 year flood came down there. Like what kind of gold got washed out of the mountains? There's going to be people panning all through there for years to come. Speaking of quartz, because quartz you can't have quartz without having gold deposit. They're symbiotic. They come together. People are always looking for quartz deposits to find the gold deposits. So you got the largest quartz and the purest quartz somewhere in the United States. What do you think is going to be on the periphery rock there, on the strata that's in there? There's going to be a huge amount of gold inside there as well. Like quartz deposits also equal gold finds and gold veins. Just saying.
It's just weird that they make it seem like that there were already active lithium mining operations going on in North Carolina when there isn't, and there hasn't been since 1988. Now, there are plans to do mining. I believe I read that it was around, they wanted to open up a 1,500-acre lithium mine in by 2027. The
There, though,
only
I
thing
must
that they have is a lithium processing plant that's currently there. That's the only thing. It's just processing the lithium. So other countries send in the lithium, we process it there, and then it goes out to be put in these electric vehicles and our cell phones and like in all of that. You know, the people are making it seem like that it's already been an active thing, that they have been mining lithium there for years and years and years, and they haven't.
But if you look at there's a town called Spruce Pine, and that is where that quartz mine. It's the purest quartz on the planet so far that they found anywhere in the entire world. This has the purest quartz, and that's what they use for a lot of the semiconductor chips. So it's a main supply for most of the semiconductor chips that are being made and processed. So they start with that quartz first, then they, go through and they refine that down into those ingots that they pull. And, I've seen some ingot videos, and I didn't know much about semiconductor production, but the way they pull those ingots out so slowly over days and days and days, and they create those rods out of there of that purest of purest quartz. A lot of that originates from that same area around Spruce Pine. That is the name of the city or the town that no longer exists. It was completely wiped off the map. There might be a couple houses on stilts, but eminent domain will quickly remove that. And you know what? Going up in there, Army Corps engineers, they're trying to get that mine back open. So their number one priority is getting those roads built back up to Spruce Pine to get that flow of quartz back out for the global semiconductor chip supply. That you're bringing all that massive supply and that massive amount of construction materials, heavy moving equipment, surveyors and everything to get those roads rebuilt they don't exist anymore. So they have to, some of the areas that I've seen, the way the river had rescoured in, they either have to go across the rivers and build bridges, or they have to blast the mountain to come out and create a roadbed in there. Right now, again, to rebuild it. And their entire focus is on rebuilding that road up to Spruce Pine because they need the quartz. And thanks to Fume for sponsoring the video tonight. Go to tryfume.com/adapt2030 and use the code adapt2030 at checkout. See you next time. Bye for now.
Pro Clear Cleanse is the most powerful spray cleaner on the market today. No elbow grease necessary. Pro Clear Cleanse cuts through grease and grime like a chef's knife. Finally, the one cleaner that can do it all. Powerful surfactant cleaning technology cleans ovens, glass, porcelain, even polished wood. Environmentally friendly, less packaging and waste with no harsh smells, pet safe, child safe. 5 tablets equals 1 bottle of traditional cleaner. It's 5 months of cleaning for a fraction of the cost. Behold the grease-erasing power of Odor Crush. Simply drop a tablet into your bottle of warm water and shake it so it is evenly diluted. Spray the surface you want cleaned. Let set longer for tougher grease. Take a paper towel or a reusable cloth and wipe. Done and done. One of the best things about Pro Clear Cleanse, it's you can take it anywhere. Hiking, camping, or on vacation. Without having to buy or bring cleaner, you can store the same potential in the tablets, then just add water and bam, you have a bottle of cleaner. Order now and make life a little easier and cleaner.